Okay, moving on to the next group of philosophers, Heracleitus and then Parmenides and Zeno. And keep in mind, as we see, most of the positions that we've discussed of these philosophers are in metaphysics. Well, Heracleitus, we know he was the guy that everything is changing. And that's a position on metaphysics. That is, he says, look, what is real can't be. Material things are always changing. The only thing in the cosmos that is real is change, because everything else is just temporary. And that's why he had his quote, or what's the quote that's been ascribed to him that they claim he said is, you cannot step in the same river twice. That is, the river is always changing. So the question, what is the river? He says, when you look at everything else, similar. And he says a little bit, and this is something that he says that makes it a little bit difficult to follow him, is that he claims that the opposites are really one and the same. The road up is the same as the road down. It looks almost like when you're looking at things in the world, things look like they're opposites, but they're really the same. It sounds like a contradiction. So that's why you can't, if you think about it, that's why you can't trust your senses. So from that, even though he doesn't directly talk about epistemology, it looks like there are some consequences, at least, related to knowledge and skepticism. Right? He says we don't know what the naturalists claim that we do, through observation, because the things we're observing aren't real. They're always changing. Ultimately, reason needed to tell us which observations lead to knowledge. Because keep in mind, what he learned that everything is changing, but he did learn that through observation nonetheless. So observation still yields knowledge for Heracleitus. So that's why I put that comment in that column. Moving on to Parmenides. And Parmenides had that weird view, right? The one. There's only one thing that exists. In parentheses, I try to explain it. To say that something is not is to say that it does not exist. And he says you cannot speak or think about what does not exist. The idea is if you're thinking about something, it exists. It exists in your mind, at least. If there were more than one thing, then you'd have to say that the one is not the other, which is the same as saying it doesn't exist, so you can't say it. And again, it looks like, and I might have said more about this when we were going over this, that the source of knowledge, the way Parmenides comes to this conclusion that there's only one thing, is through an argument. It's like a proof in math. So it looks like reason, he looks like he's a rationalist, that reason is a thing that tells us about what we know. He didn't directly address epistemology, but he takes the position that, reason is the thing you can trust, and that's what led the naturalists, even Heracleitus, to be wrong, that they were trusting their observations. And then with regard to Zeno, the only thing I put down there was Zeno was his position on ontology is that certain things that we think exist are impossible. Space, time, and motion are impossible. And if you notice, I had the comment about epistemology, about being a rationalist. It was kind of shared. I deleted the line. I don't expect you guys to be able to do that in Word, but this, I think this was a decent way of representing. So I hope you're getting a feeling what you put in. You might have put in a little bit more, a little bit less, but you're looking to explain it briefly so you know what you're talking about and you'll remember what the guy's positions are.